Professional weigh-in services are so critical. They don't just give you a number, they break down your front axle, rear axle, towball weight, GVM and GCM. There is a misconception out there, and it's a dangerous one.
We get a lot of clients come to us who want a GVM upgrade. They've done their research, they know they're heavy, they know they're going to be heavy, and now they come to us and go, right, so what is the right upgrade? What do we need? 9 out of 10 clients we've weighed in 4 years are overweight and at least one weight compliance.
As Cameron from TTweigh explained, of the 1,000 plus vehicle, trailer, camper trailers, caravans he's weighed, 9 out of 10 have failed.
Well, what a lot of people don't realise is for every 100 kilos of bore weight, roughly 1.5 times that bore weight ends up on your rear axle. So it significantly affects your rear axle compliance when you hitch to the car.
Just because you've got a Land Cruiser, Patrol, or similar with a GVM upgrade doesn't mean you're in the clear. Upgraded GVM doesn't equal unlimited load. GVM upgrades don't fix everything. If you don't know your axle weights, you're just guessing. Axle weight limit is a limiting factor in the majority of the 1,000 plus that Cameron has weighed. Some were over by as much as 400 kilograms and more. Comments like this show just how misunderstood this issue is. People think a Land Cruiser, Nissan, etc., for example, gives them a free pass. It does not.
Tear weight's your empty dry weight of your Caravan when it was manufactured. One down on the list, which is aggregate trailer mass, ATM. It's the maximum loaded weight that your Caravan or camper is allowed to be with everything in it.
Professional weigh-in services use calibrated scales and certified procedures to measure front axle weight, rear axle weight, towball weight, GVM, gross vehicle mass, ATM, aggregate trailer mass, GCM, gross combination mass. These are the exact numbers you need, not rough guesses from a public weighbridge or DIY method. Most DIY weigh-ins only give you total weight. Professionals give you axle-by-axle data, which is critical for avoiding rear axle overloads, ensuring your towball weight is safe and balanced. Checking weight distribution between vehicle and trailer, a weigh-in can reveal if you're exceeding your rear axle limit. A common problem even with GVM upgrades is your towball weight too light or too heavy, affecting stability. This will help you fix issues before they lead to fines, defects, insurance problems, or accidents. Services like TTweigh come with people like Cameron who know the legal limits inside out.
Things here we just like to run through with our clients, and these are just various compliance and safety things that not a lot of caravanners are aware of.
Offer practical advice on redistributing weight, can suggest setup improvements, example, redistributing weight, and also explains in simple terms what each number means. Before heading out on a long trip, a weigh-in gives you confidence. You're legally compliant. Your setup is balanced and safe. So if you're touring, towing, or loading up for that big trip, get your rig properly weighed. Because this isn't about brand loyalty. Land Cruiser, Nissan, it does not matter. If your rear axle is over, you're not compliant. And if something goes wrong, your insurance could deny the claim, your rig could be defected, and you could be legally liable. Get informed, get weighed, and don't rely on assumptions. Let's take the Land Cruiser as an example, arguably one of the most popular vehicles for touring and towing, and for good reasons. When you get a GVM upgrade for a Land Cruiser 200 series, you're usually offered two options: 3,800 kilogram GVM upgrade or 4,200 kilogram GVM upgrade. Sounds good on paper, right? But here's the detail most people overlook. The 3,800 kilogram upgrade only increases your rear axle load limit by 50 kilograms. That's it. Just 50 kilograms.
I think a lot of people are under the deception that when they get a GVM upgrade that their axle weight load is going to be increased enormously in correspondence to that mass weight, and I think a lot of people are wrong there. I'm probably going to be surprised to find out just those details you mentioned.
You're 100% right. 100% right. In fact, when I talk GVM upgrades to clients, the number one focus for us is on the rear axle. It's usually the number that's limiting. So in our reports, and I'll show you because we identify that very, very crystal clear in our reports, and we often are going to a client, this is the one that you need to target and look at, not so much a GVM upgrade, because you're right. There are different GVM upgrades on the market for different vehicles, and all of them quite often have very different rear axle, and they're not in proportion to that GVM upgrade. Reason being, a lot of vehicles, when they set up to travel Australia, loaded with accessories, particularly winches, bull bars, lights at the front. So we find a lot of vehicles go over their front axle capacity when they're not towing, and then when they put the caravan or camper on the back, quite often that rear axle gets into trouble as well. So we like to just go through that process of getting it both.
For a touring setup with rear drawer, this long-range fuel tank, rear fridge, dual batteries, spare tires and tow ball weight from the trailer, and maybe even airbags, that 50 kilogram gets eaten up in seconds. And if you exceed your rear axle limit, you're in breach, regardless of your overall GVM. This means you're potentially unroadworthy. Your insurance may not cover you in the event of an accident, and you could be legally liable if something goes wrong. GVM upgrades, they're valuable when you understand what they do and don't improve. The real problem is the false confidence some owners develop after upgrading.
There's a lot of misinformation and confusion online, so a lot of clients engage us just to, they can ask those questions that they want to ask without being intimidated online, and get to the bottom of the answers, truthful answers.
Unless you've verified your axle weights, you could be overloaded with even realizing it. I recently saw a YouTube video and a comment that highlights this mindset perfectly. The person clearly thought a GVM upgrade gave them a free pass, but had no idea their rear axle was 400 kilos over the legal limit. This is why services like TTweigh are so critical. Cameron and the team don't just give you a number, they break down your front axle, rear axle, tow ball weight, GVM, and GCM. That's the level of detail every serious tourer should know. Now think about what's sitting over your rear axle. Upright fridge, false floor and drawer systems, dual batteries, jerry cans, spare tire, tow ball weight from your camper trailer, and maybe a long-range fuel tank. It adds up fast, and suddenly you're over your rear axle limit, even though you're under GVM.
You're well under your GCM. It's the rear axle. Yeah. So,
Okay, 127 kilos.
yes. So the contributing factors there, all right, are obviously your bull weight at 1.5 times. So that's clearly, you're on the heavier side with your bull weight at 11.5%. So the ability to potentially trim a little bit of that bull weight and get it down a little bit will help your rear axle, and obviously your GVM figure as well. Unfortunately, mate, a lot of these mid-size wagons, your MUXs are the same. They've only got a 1650 rear axle load. A lot of these mid-size vehicles just have fairly modest rear axle compliance limits on them. So it sort of limits how much gear and weighty gear you can carry in the back of it. So, you definitely are able to fix this, believe it or not, but it's going to be a joint effect of tidying up our hitch assembly, trying to get that closer to and we need to get the ball weight down. So, yeah.
Camper as well.
Realistically down to around the 9.5%.
Yeah, okay.
Well, straight away, do you need the 2 diesel jerrys on the front?
No.
So one of the variations we might do straight away today is take those off and see what that does to your ball weight, because that alone could well take 20, 25 kilos, which in turn is going to take close to 40 kilos off your rear axle. What we want to do now, mate, is first thing I want to do is just go through the level of the van, just check that, or level of the camper, because, we'll just quickly have a look at the hitch setup, and then we'll start looking at a couple of variations. What I'm thinking firstly is we'll take the 2 juries off and do a variation with those off and just see what difference that makes. And then we'll start looking at potentially whether there's anything in the car that you want to put into the camper, right? Because we know we've got to remove some weight from the car. So I think what we might then do is look at going, rightio, what stuff in the car can we move into the camper, particularly at the back, to accommodate some more room in the car and some ball weight adjustment as well, before we empty water last. Alrighty, so we've made a couple of changes. So I'm just going to have a look at this first variation to your numbers. So I've just updated the system. We've now got a 4-page report that we'll provide to you. So the first 3 pages are the base numbers, so they haven't changed. What I've done is I've tacked on a variation page. So what we're really focusing on here is the ball weight of the van, because the ball weight of the camper will obviously affect the GVM of the car. So we're focusing really here on your ball weight of your camper, 217. We're just trying to get that down, okay? So we'll go down now to page 4. All right, we've done a variation, which is we've removed the diesel tank from the front, one of the 2 jerry cans and one of the 2 gas bottles. all from the front of the camper, all right? And that's gone down now from 217 to 193, so around about 24 kilos off the ball weight. And you can see now that your tow ball mass is 10.5%. So what that's done to the car is that you're almost back to the GVM tips,
Yeah, we're close, aren't we?
and you're back to 91 kilos.
Peace of mind for touring and towing. Before heading out on a long trip, a weigh and give you confidence. You're legally compliant. Your setup is balanced and safe. And you're not risking tire blowouts, brake stress, or insurance denial. Stay tuned. How do I reduce my axle weight limit? Some drastic measures have been taken.